Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, have you heard the one about the old blind guy that moves into a retirement village and ends up fighting werewolves every full moon? Have you? You haven't? Well, that's just as well, because I'm going to tell you all about it now. Folks, Late Phases from 2014, aka Night of the Wolf, aka Night of the Lone Wolf, to give it more generic titles, is a splendid, overlooked, in some quarters forgotten about, in other quarters never knew about it, lycanthropic, supernatural action thriller that's actually more of a really haunting, spellbinding character study. Now, folks, if you haven't seen the film, then please go away now and go watch it, because here's my review of it right now. 2 thumbs up. All my claws are up. Yeah, all claws are up. It's awesome. It's haunting. It'll stay with you. It's infinitely better than the generic fodder that surrounds this kind of movie, the werewolf fodder genre that's out there now. This film is not a masterpiece. It's not flawless, and I will cover all that as well, because, as I say, this is your chance to bug out and go watch it and then come back to this video, because I'm going to go in depth and spoil the whole bloody thing. I mean, I review a lot of older movies where, we kind of like, you expect someone to have seen it. This is not that much of an older film. But then again, 2014, it seems like a decade ago, doesn't it? It almost is. We've had pandemics and there's wars now. Everything's changed since then. But the basic premise of someone going up against, let me just bring that back on, someone going up against a big, massive, hairy, ferocious werewolf. Well, doesn't matter what era you're in, what time period, but this guy's blind. He's blind and he's old, and he's going to go up against an 8-foot tall monster that might not be alone, So, anyway, Late Phases, as I knew it. As I say, different titles. I knew about the film going into production. I followed it. I traced its production. I was way looking forward to it. At the time this came out, this was the big new werewolf movie. I say big. It was touted in a few magazines like Shivers and Dark Side, but it really wasn't getting much word of mouth on the internet or anything like that. But I was following this, and when it came out, I was lucky enough to see it pretty much day one. I reviewed it as well, gave it a massive glowing review, and I've stuck with it ever since. And it's funny how certain people that you meet and you talk about werewolf movies, as I often do. I mean, look at the company I keep, for Christ's sake. They say, what's your favourite werewolf movie? And obviously The Howling and American Werewolf come up. And I always talk about Wolfen. Not strictly speaking a werewolf movie, I know, but it does fit into the genre. And it's connected to this movie as well. But no one ever mentions this film, and I always say, have you seen Late Phases? And what's that about then? What's that mean, Late Phases? It's the lunar cycle. And explain what the plot premise is. And people are turned off from it pretty much straight away. And they're turned off by the fact that your leading guy, your hero, and he is a hero, is blind. And I think that is a detestable quality in people these days. To just, I don't think I can sympathise. Or empathise. I think the problem is people sympathise too much but don't empathise with the character. And this is the film that will prove them hugely, hugely wrong. Now, as I say, I love it. Go watch it if you haven't seen it, and then come back to this video. 2014 saw the release of Late Phases, and this was an indie production by Dark Skies and Glass Eye Pix. The sort of brainchild of Larry Fessenden, really. It's written by a guy called Eric Stolz, but Larry Fessenden and Dark Skies did so many movies during this period. House of the Devil, Stakeland, Stakeland 2, I Sell the Dead. Did I say House of the Devil? I may have done. And others. And The Innkeepers, that's the other one. And they were all very distinctively independent and low budget. They got progressively bigger in scale, and in quality and style. Just going to bring that back again. Should be all right now. But the one that I've loved the most, and I always go back to, is this one. And it's quite clear it has the things which float my boat, as regular viewers know. Werewolves, a military veteran, action, and it's character driven, and it's haunting. All the things are there. It's all in place. Great soundtrack as well. Sadly, I'm not playing the soundtrack to it because you can't get it. Oh, believe you me, I've looked. You can't buy it officially, and I've gone through some illicit means and I still can't get hold of it. I can get some tracks from the soundtrack which are not the score itself, but I think I've run into trouble playing them. So I'm playing something which is very similar, in fact, and from the same company, and also stars the same leading man. Not leading man in this though. This is Cold in July, the awesome urban cowboy thriller, Cold in July. And Jeff Grace does the awesome score for this. But all the same production people are involved in this movie as well. So, and the soundtrack sounds very similar to what is delivered in Late Phases. So what is Late Phases, Kilt-Man? You've been bigging this up, but what the hell is it all about? Well, you've got this retirement village in upstate New York. It's one of these, it's very quaint, it's idyllic. It's all manicured lawns, lovely little abodes, everyone knows everyone else's business, and it's right bordering on the woods. The woods. The woods! And every sort of, at some point during the month, and we all know what time of the month it's going to be, things happen. Killings happen, Dogs and cats are going missing as well, all the time. The actual police, there's 2 coppers that patrol this place. Fucking useless. They're chocolate coppers. They melt in the sunlight. They melt when there's ever there's danger. You've got a gatekeeper who's completely useless, just looking at, nudies in magazines all the time and waving people on through the gates. But he's absolutely useless. So these poor old fogies are left to fend for themselves. Anyway, into this environment, we get Ambrose McKinley, US Army, Vietnam veteran, 5 years in Vietnam. He came back from Vietnam with eye trauma and he ignored doctor's orders and he went blind. He's a blind man now. He's an old man in his 70s now. This is played by Nick Damici. Nick Damici is, well, we'll talk more. He is unbelievably good. So, his son Will, played by, I always forget this guy's name. What's his name? Ethan Embry plays Will. Takes him to this place. Now, they've lost their mother. Now, we glean that Ambrose left the family, basically. And he's a bitter cynic. He's a taciturn, sarcastic, arrogant, brusque. Only why use a sentence when 2 words will do, and those 2 words will be fuck you. He's powerful. He's a strong character. He's indomitable, but he's caused such a rift in the family. Now they've lost the mother. They don't meet the mother. The mother has died. By the start of this movie, she's died anyway. But Ambrose had already left, so mother's gone, and Will takes his father, blind, with his German Shepherd guide dog called Shadow. It's a female German Shepherd played by a dog called Raina, and she's awesome. You're already going like, oh no, Kilt-Man, no. I wish I could alleviate your fears, but I can't. Raina don't last long. I mean, Shadow doesn't last long. But so they move him into this place and this retirement village called, Crescent Bay, and it's idyllic. And straight away, he's rubbing people up the wrong way. He's just one of these guys. He's a hard-bitten, cantankerous bastard. He likes his life. He doesn't want anyone prying into it. He doesn't want to be fussed over. But his son loves him and dotes on him. But there is a rift developing there. So they move him in, and that first night, He's met Dolores next door. Dolores, when he first move in there, he runs his hand down the wall when he first move in, and Will's putting the bags in. The removal men are going to be bringing stuff the next day, and he runs his hand down the wall. This is Ambrose. The scratch, we can see the scratches in the wallpaper, and he feels this. He's just getting a feel for the place. Obviously, he's got to get his bearings, hasn't he? And he pulls something out, and then because there's a little sort of a yard sale taking place at the next door residence, so he goes over the way there, and he just shambles over, and because he's a very focused man. The thing you're going to learn about this guy is being blind is not a handicap to this man. It's not. It's part of his character. It's made him the man that he is in this movie. But blind to him, I've got other senses. I'm still strong. I can still fight. I will fight. And I will not give in to any motherfucker. And he's amazing at this. And totally and utterly believable. Very credible. Come on to all the performances in a bit. Goes over to next door, and he's rubbing his hand around this table, trying to feel his way. And there's Dolores, this old dear who lives next door. And they introduce themselves. And he says, I can't see you, but you smell gorgeous. You smell beautiful. And what's your name? Ambrose. Well, I'm Dolores. Well, hello, Dolores. Hello, Ambrose. And you think, nice little relationship building here. Dolores, can you tell me what this is? And he shows it. Well, he gives this claw that he pulled out. We know it's a claw. And she just goes, I think it's a claw. It's a claw. Thank you, Dolores. But then Will comes over. Pops, what are you doing over here? I told you not to wander. Hello, I'm Will. I'm Ambrose's son. Blah-de blah blah blah. Come on, Pops, let's get you back home. And all this. And then Will leave Ambrose there for that night. Ambrose has got Shadow, his dog. What could possibly go wrong? It's only the first night. You just moved in. It's a full fucking moon. Big stuff's going to go wrong. A point about the movie is that the walls of these places are paper thin, and you can hear everything that's happening next door, everything around you, all these big plots of land, but your next door neighbour, you can hear everything they're doing. And Dolores gets a phone call from, I think, her daughter, and she's talking to her daughter. But in the meantime, something's prowling around outside. Something big and snarly, and with a bit of a can't quite breathe properly. Hairballs, mate, hairballs. I have the same problem. But Ambrose, because he's blind, his hearing, you compensate. His hearing is acute, and he hears this. And he opens the window and he's listening out. What the hell is that? And obviously, Shadow, his dog, big German Shepherd's getting a bit like something's out there. And in a great, ferocious opening gambit that we get here, Dolores is disemboweled by a fucking big werewolf. But the sequence itself, she's on the phone to her daughter and she hears something outside. The doorknob, the back door begins to rattle. And so he's butting against the back door. And she's saying to her daughter, can you stay on the line? Stay on the line. In a great shot, and we will talk more about the cinematography, you see her in the foreground right there. And she's half on, like my hand there, half on. And the back door's down here. And suddenly the back door just explodes as this fucking big thing comes through. And you're like, Jesus Christ, this film ain't wasting no time, is it? She's attacked, she's disemboweled, Ambrose hears all this commotion, and he's banging on the wall. Dolores, Dolores, you okay in there? Dolores. And Shadow's going ballistic, like, and he's like, what can I do? But the thing next door, which has just killed her, hears him and runs up against the wall. Bang! Sends him hurtling, And then it comes into his house. What do you think happens? Shadow defends Ambrose, defends her master, and gets killed in the process. But she wounds the beast. Ferocious battle ensues. And you hear the dog squealing, you hear this thing howling. We see the monster, we see the werewolf. Not completely, but you know exactly what it is. The director and the writer said, look, fuck this. We're not going to do the same old trick of we're not going to show the monster until the end. We've got a huge section of the movie where you're not going to see the monster at all. So they're going to show it right from the word go. You know what this is. We all know what the monster's. It's a werewolf. Ambrose will work it out almost immediately. And then they'll spend a good 2/3 of the movie trying to work out who the werewolf really is and then prepare himself for the next full moon. But in the meantime, poor old Shadow frightens off the werewolf. Already done some damage to it. Ambrose gets his gun. Ambrose, as I say, might be blind, but he's a weapons specialist. Doesn't need his eyes to clean his guns, to put ammunition in, to keep his guns in good order. And he can, where is it? The noise is there, bang! He can do this stuff. Sadly, the beast gets away, smashes through the front doors, it's gone. It's caused a lot of fucking wreckage already. And Shadow, Shadow will collapse upon him. Lots of rips down her flanks and her side, and he'll feel all this. And in a heartbreaking moment, he brings up the revolver. Shadow. He has to pour out of its misery. The next day, you get the removal men arriving, who are like a pair of jokers. But it's a great sequence, which really amplifies the horror of this scenario as they're driving up, like they're joking about the smell of old folks and all this. And suddenly, the guy driving it, he looks around and he just goes like that. They pulled up outside Ambrose's house. We can't see what they're looking at, and another guy just turns around and goes, and the two of them get out. And what it is, it's Ambrose and Dolores' house have been fucking smashed down. Like, this beast has just wrecked the place. One guy runs to Dolores' house, the other guy goes into Ambrose, is walking over broken glass, blood everywhere, and there's Ambrose sitting there with Shadow's body across him, and he just says, like, please, can you help me? My dog. And like, heart, douche, snaps in two. Doesn't dwell on this. This is an important thing to remember. It does not dwell on like the fact that a blind guy's lost his seeing-eyed dog, his guide dog. Because Ambrose is bigger, tougher, harder than any of us. He's amazing. He's brick hard. He's hard as fucking nails. Take the dog to the vet. The body, obviously. And he's like, and the vet's saying, like, you know, this happens at least once a month. What? I mean, and Ambrose is going, what do you mean happens once a month? Yeah, it's where they live. We've said about this before. He brings the dog back to bury it in his garden. Ambrose already knows what's going on. Once a month. Yeah, when the full moon's out. Ambrose is like, really? Full moon? Big beast? He said, he says to the vet, well, what do you think did this? Well, it could be a mountain lion, or he goes, how about a dog? So a dog? It smelled like a dog to me. I'm like, well, a dog could do it, but big dog, fucking werewolf, like. So they come back, and but now you've got Will, his son, and his wife, played by what's her name? Alana, Erin Cummings, who was Sora in Spartacus, the TV show. Ooh yeah, and she's wonderful. These are great actors as well, these two. And Pops, why are you taking the dog back? I thought the point was to leave it here, because Will's got a job in the city, and he's speaking as a person with a mother who is old and riddled with Alzheimer's and has 1,000,001 other issues beyond that. We're forever at the beck and call. I have a father-in-law who's over 90, and same story, really. I understand the plight. This is why it probably has a lot more sort of resonance with someone like myself who's going through these sort of issues with how do you deal with parents who are like this. Only Ambrose doesn't want to be dealt with. Ambrose can deal with his fucking self. And they come home, they've got the dog, and he's saying, I'm going to bury Shadow in the garden. And he's also been buying a headstone, but he hasn't decided on what headstone to get yet. That's how we first get introduced to Ambrose at the start of the movie. He's in a this place not far from this new sort of retirement village, and he's trying to price up headstones, not for his wife, Will's mother. Not that's all been done. This is ostensibly for himself. The theme of the movie is dying. He knows as he says, I think Will's wife, so his daughter-in-law, is saying to him like, it looks, it's a lovely place to live. People don't come here to live; they come here to die. It's the sunset of his life. But this is a guy that wants to go out like a soldier. He wants to go down fighting. Doesn't know any other way. He's lived his life as a soldier. Blindness has not dulled his other senses. It's not dulled his killer attitude and his absolutely totally independent lifestyle. In the first version of the movie, the film opened with a mugging scene. You don't see this. It's not in the finished film now. But the film opened with a mugging scene in New York City of Ambrose and his dog. But Ambrose fights off the mugger and I think beats the shit out of him basically. So that was meant to be the introduction to what this character's going to be. But the director, again, forget his name again, Adrian Garcia Bogliano, Spanish director. He did some quite nasty movies before this, and but he's a wonderful director. And Larry Fessenden said, like, well, let's go into, we'll introduce him at the headstones. Let the audience work out how he talks the talk, but can he walk the walk, even with a stick, But can he actually, has he got power behind his words? Yes, he has. Fucking too damn right he has. And so they ditched all of that sort of stuff. But that introduction, he's gun ready and he's proactive right from the word go. But the shock of what's hit him and the death of his dog, right, well, okay, now the switch is on, think, that's it. When he gets back to the place, his house with the dog, the police are already there, and Dolores' daughter, who's heavily pregnant, is there, and she's angry. Why can't you guys do something about this? I've got a baby on the way. I don't need all this. We put her here. I tried to get her out of this place. She said, like, it's so, because obviously stuff's happening. So Ambrose hears all this, and he's like, well, Ambrose ambles over to the two coppers and this woman and finds out more. Yeah, this happened a lot, and someone else got killed that night as well. What? Someone else got killed? Yeah, it happens all the time. And these two stupid dizzy coppers are like, it's animal attack. It happens, it happens all the time. What fucking animal stampedes to someone's house? This is one of the flaws of the movie, but they work it in such a way that you're meant to take the piss out of these coppers because they're fucking useless, they're imbeciles, and they just ignore it, they brush it off. And in a way, that's a statement on retirement homes and care and nursing homes all around the world, that once you put your doting, loving parents who've lost their marbles or lost their mobility, you put them in these places because you can't look after them, and they're at the mercy of people that don't really care because it's just a job to them. That's a cynical approach, and it's not everywhere, but it does exist. And this film seems to, in some kind of way, acknowledge that they get just shunted off from society into a place which looks great to all the doting family. Oh, you'll be happy here, and then off you go, and they're just left there. Yeah, it ain't what you think it is. I'm stuck here, and I can't move. I can't fight back. Can't argue. So it does hit home in several other ways, this movie as well. And so he's basically saying, you guys, well, it happens all the time. How do you know what it is? Look, Mr. McKinley, we recommend you just stay indoors at night and keep your doors shut, keep your windows closed, because this stuff happens. And when you go out in the daytime, you walk out in the woods, don't go alone. And he's like, well, thank you, officers, that's reassuring. I can't do his accent, but Nick Damici is fucking amazing. I, for myself, discovered Nick Damici in Stakeland, one of Fessenden's movies, and I thought he was wonderful in that. He has a grizzled Paul Newman look about him, and he's not as old as he looks in the movie. It's makeup. They put liver spots on him, they've greyed his hair, and he does not blink. He keeps his eyes open all the time. we'll talk more about his performance, because that is a huge section in its own right, and it celebrates this movie and makes such a great magnitude his performance that deserves far more accolades than I'll give it right now. Let's get back to the story. So he now knows there's someone out there. His dog's been killed. Dolores, the one who smelled beautiful, she's been killed. He knows there's something out there now. And like Will's saying to him, Pops, you gonna be okay? Is there a full moon tonight? No, that was last night. I'm gonna be okay. I'll be okay, Will. You know. And but he's got his guns, he's cleaning his guns, and you'll see him pacing out. Don't think he's only been there one day. In the montage, you'll see him pacing out the rooms, you know, from the door to the window to the couch to the bed, pacing up and down. It's gauging his space, the geometry of where he's going to be, his environment. But the next day, he's sitting on the back porch, and he's waiting for the mailman. And the mailman turns up, and he goes he's already insulted the coppers. You know, he's like, officers, this is the night before, and he's like, you know, how do you know we were police? I can smell the donuts. They don't like him because he rubs up people the wrong way, because he's just direct, fucking bullets to people. You know, I'll just say, staccato, blah blah blah. You're a wanker. You know, how'd you know? I can smell it on you. You know, he is just one of these guys, and they exist, and he's wonderful. Mailman comes up, and I was like, hey, are you okay? What happened here? My dog got killed. And he's like, well, oh, Jesus, man, that's too bad. Hey, listen, do you want some chicken? He's got like fried chicken in a basket, like, you know, in a bin. You know, want some chicken? You know, I know, I'm okay. Listen, you tell me, where does the blood go? Because remember, the beast got attacked by Shadow. The dog did some damage. He knows this. Where's the blood go? It goes off. That way. He's trying to take me. So he leads him out there. Now Ambrose hasn't got a dog now to guide him, and he's refused another dog. No, we don't want another one. There won't be another dog. And doesn't have a walking stick or a cane. He has a shovel, because he's digging the grave for Shadow. And he's got this, and he uses that as his walking stick, so it's a weapon as well. It's a sharpened, it's almost like a military shovel, and detachable, and what's the word? Elongatable. That's not a proper word. I shouldn't have done that either, should I? But you know what I mean. So he'll walk off with this as his crutch, as his walking stick, and the blood stops here. There's blood patches, and okay, well, stops here. Well, where are we? Oh, we're outside so-and-so's house. Okay, we're done here. You just point me in the right direction. So they turn him around, and he walks up to this house. There's all like tomatoes growing there in a little sort of plot, and he stumbles over those. But he comes into the house. I should have said, sorry, that day one, the 3 Stepford wives of this place come in. These are all movie and genre queens, by the way. They've been in many, many movies. One of them, Tina Louise, was actually in the original 1970s, The Stepford Wives. And these 3 women are Stepford Wives here. Busybodies, big hats on, like they arrive on, you know, as a trio, almost joined at the hip and the shoulder and the elbow, to welcome Ambrose. But Ambrose doesn't want to fucking know. He knows this sort of people. Like, look, when we're left alone, you know, we brought cake. Can't eat sugar. Oh. And he just brings out a gun, and they're like, you know, I didn't know a blind person could have a gun. Yeah, blind people can have guns. It's just retards that can't have guns. And like, he's rude and brusque, and they don't like him, and he kind of chases them off in a way. But he ends up at one of their houses. Now, remember, he heard this wheezing breath outside of the house the night of the attack. And he goes in there, and he's like, I just want to say I'm sorry about, you know, my behaviour the other day. And he's coming in, he's got mud on his boots, he's got mud on his shovel and all that. He's walking in, and she's like, I'll get you some lemon tea or whatever. She goes with him. But he hears this. And the post guy said that the blood stopped just over there. So he's thinking, the wolf the beast, came back. I went home here, right? Going, and he hears the same breathing. So he goes wandering and he's feeling himself around the place. And when we can see there's a guy in an iron lung, it's her husband, John. And like, it's just his head sticking out, its iron lung. And like, Ambrose is like, what the fuck is this? And he's feeling all around it. And he comes down to the on-off switch, basically. And she comes in, she goes, Ambrose, you're gonna kill John! And all this, like, and he's like, what the fuck? You know, it's my husband, he's in an iron lung. What? Iron lung? Poor fucker, you know. Poor fucking bastard. He says something like that. Like, and she's like, she's horrified at his language, and it's just the way his attitude is. Off he goes. Like, just Aaron and the other two women are making complaints. Don't like him now at all. The coppers come back round to us to say that there's been complaints about you, and he's like, yeah, you know, more murders going on. What are you guys doing? Like, look, it's nothing. We told you, don't stick your nose into all this. You know, just keep yourself to yourself. The only complaints we're getting now are about you and all this. Like, he's only been there a couple of fucking days, like, and he said, like, this was in my mailbox. What does it say? It's like a flyer. And there's one copper who's actually not bad, and he's going like, yeah, oh, Ambrose, this is like it's for the church. It's like every Sunday there's a congregation, there's a mass. You want to go to it? Like, I'm not religious. Yeah, but you get to know the people. You get to know everyone around in the neighbourhood. Ambrose thinks, yeah, because one of these bastards ain't who he really pretends to be. Okay. Yeah, they pick you up in the bus. So, next Sunday, he's there, outside, got his shovel, he's waiting, and the bus pulls up, gets on there, and he will meet our other two main members of the cast. Father Roger, played by, oh my God, Tom Noonan, genre, fucking awesomeness, Manhunter, Wolfen, Robocop 2, so many others. He's about 20 feet tall, and he's like a praying mantis, gangly, and he's pure indie, superstar. His mannerisms, his understatement, he is wonderful. He's the scientist in the zoo in New York, Central Park Zoo in Wolfen, who knows there's wolves out there. He tries to defend them. They kill him as well. But he's an incredible actor. Anyway, so Ambrose gets to meet him and our other main character, which is Mr. Griffin. And Mr. Griffin, folks, is played by the great Lance Guest, the ever personable Lance Guest. Lance Guest, you say? Halloween 2, the original 1981 Halloween 2. He also is the last Starfighter. Yeah, he's the kid, Alex, the last Starfighter. He's also in Jaws of Revenge, but we really don't want to go into that. He's one of the old surviving Brody boys after the Jaws cycle kind of upturned and then sank without trace. Something that I'm going to sink now without trace. Bit of the old whiskage. You're good, Al. So, and Mr. Griffin is the lovely neighbourhood guy. He arranges all the transport and everything to get the people to and from the church. He's there to help everybody else. Ambrose sits between these guys, gets to know them on the bus. It's like, yeah, Father, you smoke? And I say, oh, well, I tried to give it up. This is Tom Noonan. I tried to give it up, but the beard, he can't get out of the beard. I love his mannerisms. I love every person's mannerisms and expressions and their vocal traits in this movie. They're all dynamite. And it's like, yeah, I tried to give it up. But he goes, and Ambrose is like, just a bit of a twitch. Wheezy bollocks here. So they go to the church. Lovely church as well. I love churches. Like Ambrose, I'm not religious at all. I've mentioned my views on all this many, many times. Won't do it right now. But I love churches. And I love, if you find comfort and solace in a church or a place of religion, a place of devotion, that's brilliant. I actually do myself, but I find it more, I just feel comfortable, and I love the architecture, I love the atmosphere and the aura of these places, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it's a religious thing. It's just, I just love them. They're serene, but that's the people in them are nice and serene and calm as well. So that's what helps, obviously. It isn't the gargoyles, although they're great too. It isn't the belfries, all the rafters and the church organ, always great stuff as well. But none of that. But the places and the people that are in it provide an atmosphere. And this church looks gorgeous. I really think, oh my God, that looks great. I want to go and visit it. And it's all very sunny. This is upstate New York, and they wanted to film it in the fall with all the leaves and all that, but it didn't happen that way. So it's actually, I think it's the start of summertime. It's lovely and sunny, and very warm looking. But look, cinematography is incredible in this movie, absolutely incredible. So the speech, the sermon is geared towards the new, neighborhood member, which of course is Ambrose, and so he makes the priest, Father Roger, Tom Moon is going like, well, people make sacrifices, and some people make more sacrifices, and he's gearing it towards someone who fought in the war and all this, and they all have a chat outside. Incidentally, the doors of the church are open, and someone walking a dog goes past, the dog's going ballistic, and like, oh, Richard, would you go and sort that out? And Richard is an old guy who, by the way, oh no, I'll come on to this in a bit. These things are here for a reason. I've got lots of werewolf masks, but I did select those two on purpose. He's got an eye patch on, old guy, and he struggles up and shuts the doors and all that. Like, but you've got the Stepford wives are there as well, and they keep looking round at our boy, at Ambrose. I don't like him, and all that kind of muttering, these bitches like. And but afterwards, Ambrose will have a chat with Father Roger, and he'll say, look, I'm not Father, I'm not religious. It's just, you're just another uniform, and uniforms don't mean nothing. But you fought in the war, yeah, you're a soldier, yeah. I've come here. I've got much time for the world now. This is the end for me. And like, Father Roger's going like, I hope you're not saying what I think you're saying. And he leans in close to him. Now he towers above, Tom Noonan towers above Nick Damici. And he's like, I hope you're not saying what I think you're saying, because I'm not going to be a party to that. No, you ain't going to stop me, Father. I'm a soldier. I know what I'm doing and all this. You need to talk. I'm always here for you. Yeah, I'm sure you're here for me, Father. And all this, like, and he's still, because he's a smoker, Nick Damici's Ambrose begs a ciggy off the priest, and like that, and so they're sharing this nicotine habit as well, like. Anyway, so you've now been introduced to all these characters. Now this is the battlefield. Now you've got a month to wait. Ambrose will go back to the not the funeral parlour, the headstone maker, and he'll say, look, with Will, look, I want to. He's selecting headstone, and he selects the biggest fucking headstone going. Like, and it's like, how much is that going to cost? Like, well, it's going to cost you a fair bit. And this is Larry Fessenden, the producer, plays the I keep on calling it an undertaker, the proprietor of the headstone shop, whatever you call it, stonemason, I don't know. And it's like, look, well, I want this delivered in, how does it take to deliver? No more than 2 days, so long as it's within 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks' time, it's going to be the full moon. Ambrose knows there's going to be another attack. This beast will be out and about on the next full moon, and he wants to be ready for it. So he says to him, like, after paying for this headstone, I want it delivered. Is there a gun shop in town? And like, he's going, come on, Pops, what do you want with a gun? Guns I got, ammunition I need. Right, there's Westmarks, just on the edge of town. Thank you. Oh. Right, okay. In the meantime, he's digging. This is Ambrose. He's digging this grave. He's endlessly digging this grave for Shadow. But Shadow's body is still, the dog, is still under like a blanket on the side. Flies are all buzzing on it. Everyone's complaining about the smell. Will comes around like, Pops, when are you gonna bury that dog? We're ready, you know, I'm still digging the grave, you know. And he's like, it's something going on there. You know what it is, I know what it is, but, you know, it's just part of this sort of this melancholy build-up to the confrontation. What's he really playing at? And he's pissing everybody else off as well. So, but in the meantime, he's digging his grave. A figure, this is broad daylight, a figure comes up behind him and just stands there, got a black jacket on, like a rain jacket, waterproof, the hood's up, you can't see the face at all. And like, Ambrose just goes, smells something, gets out that fucking grave, like, and he's standing there like, come on, you son of a bitch. And like, it comes towards him and he just fucking whacks it, knocks this figure down, like, and you've seen Ambrose has been training himself. He's been doing press-ups and, like, you know, banging loads of these out and pacing up and down the room, as I said before, gauging all the space and the environment of his house. He's planning stuff, isn't he? Cleaning his guns and all that, like, and getting ready for all this. He's building up for the final battle. And you've seen him training with this shovel. It's a military shovel. And he's like, extendable. That's the word I was fucking looking for. Extendable, not elongatable. God, who writes my script? He's swinging it around, he's doing all maneuvers, and then knock, slash, swipe, bang, decapitate. That's what he's doing. And in this little montage of the press-ups, it's a great shot. You think, oh my Christ. It's actually a little homage to Stakeland, his character in the film Stakeland a couple of years before. It's like that, where he was training for, you know, fighting vampires in the vampire apocalypse. Not a zombie apocalypse, a vampire apocalypse. But at the end of the day, they're all ghouls from beyond the grave. And he does this thing, and then like that. And then he goes to walk out. He's like, walk out. His fucking back's gone. He's in his 70s. He's like, oh, shit. But it's great that he's done it. It's great. It's a nice little touch. Like, oh, his back's gone. It's like, oh, fuck. You know? But he's going to get fitter and stronger. Don't worry. So anyway, he knocks this prowler. Boof! Knocks this guy down, like, this figure. And then tries to run back to the house, and this fucking trips him up like that. And he fights to fight it off, and he pulls the scarf off this figure, which must have been wrapped around his face. And he gets into the house, gets his gun, where's the fucking gun now? Finds his revolver, and he comes out, and he's on the porch like that. Oh. But it's gone. But as he walks out, he stumbles onto the scarf, calls the cops. Yeah, those two fucking cops again. Look, you know, Mr. McKinley, you know, what can we do? You know, you didn't see nothing. No one else saw nothing. Well, you can't find nothing on this scarf. We can't get prints off a scarf, Mr. McKinley. Well, what does that smell like to you? Does that smell like a dog? Right, well, Mr. McKinley, there's animals all the way around here, you know? Look, just stay indoors, you know? We'll stay in touch. Any more trouble, just give us a shout. They're fucking useless, these guys. And it really is disheartening, but it works in the context of the movie. But when you think about it, you put someone in a place like this, that's how these people are. They don't give a fuck, you know. And it's not normally werewolves that are causing the problems. Anyway. So now, there's been complaints about him being in the church and riding on that bus. The Stepford wives have been bicker bantering and, oh, no, we don't like him. That man has a capacity for... They're on the bus, actually, and it's another church thing. And they're saying to... what's his fucking name? Mr. Griffin, Lance Guest, who's everyone loves Lance Guest. Everyone loves Mr. Griffin. He looks after everyone. Not Peter Griffin, although he does look a little bit like him, actually. In fact, poor old Lance Guest, who was the good-looking, geeky, dorky ambulance attendant in Halloween 2 and the Last Starfighter with his big curly hair and all that, and good-looking. Not so much these days. He looks a little bit like John Lithgow from Raising Cain, but with someone's put an inflatable, you know, put a tyre pump and inflated his face a little bit, and his hair's receded even further back, and it's all kind of curly, but he's still got big googly eyes. It is when I watch this movie and I look at him, he reminds me of so many more people as well, and but it's normally John Lithgow crossed with someone else, and do you know what? I can't even think of who the person is now, but anyway, you watch it, make it with your own minds. And these Stepford wives are saying to, you know, Mr. Griffin, you know, it's great that, you know, this Mr. McKinley goes to church, but does he have to ride on a bus with us? He has a capacity for and they can't find the word, and Griffin goes, fills in the blanks, violence? Yes, violence. What he did to my floor with that shovel. He almost killed my husband, because, you know, he almost accidentally turned off the iron lung. Accident, you know, couldn't see what he was doing. Blind. And say, oh, I'll sort something else, yeah. Would you? That'll make us feel a lot more comfortable. So the next time he's out there, and he stood waiting on a Sunday, waiting for the bus goes down to the end of the close, and he can hear it, and then it doesn't come down his road, it goes off, and he's like, what the fuck? But then Mr. Griffin, Lance Guest, comes down in his car, and picks him up. Mr. Griffin, sorry, Mr. McKinley, everyone thought it'd be easier for you to get in my car rather than go on the bus. But Ambrose is just like, he knows, he doesn't give a fuck either. Yeah, okay, you know. And Mr. Griffin, you know, the priest, Father Roger, you know, how long have you known him? He's a wonderful man. He took me in, he saved me. Saved you? Yeah, he saved everybody here. He's the most wonderful person. Are you religious? No. I just think, as I said before, you know, a priest is just another uniform. You know, they're all liars. And it's like, Nick Damici just keeps his face straight. Doesn't blink at all. When you watch interviews with Nick Damici, who's much younger, I think he was only in his early 50s when he made this, and I say he looks like Paul Newman, and it's a great look as well. And he's a theatrical actor. He's a guy from Hell's Kitchen. You know, he's been around the block a lot. He's, I think he's part Spanish. He's part from one side of time he's from the Canary Islands, and so he's got all this sort of, not Hispanic, but this Spaniard sort of element to him as well. And but this pure Hell's Kitchen, you know, New York accent, which is so thick, so strong. You know, you need a lightsaber to cut through it. And but he said, look, I'm acting blind, and yet this is the most convincing I've ever seen anyone who is sighted playing a blind person. He does not blink at all. Blind people do blink, you know, but he doesn't. And he does not keep eye lines with people. He will look, he's got people around him. And the director, Bogliano, said, like, you know, this caused a nightmare when I'm filming it and when I'm editing it. Because when you're editing films, to keep continuity and pace, visual pace for all of us to watch the film, to make sense of what you're looking at. Characters have to look eye to eye to make sense if you're not cutting away all the time. And he's not doing it. He's looking elsewhere. But he's doing it on purpose because that's a blind person would appear. But it works, but it just made more hard work for them in the editing suite. So, but Damici said, look, I'm not blind, but I'm acting blind. Said, I don't know what it feels like for them, but this is the way it worked for me. I'd feel around things. I would look. I'd be using my eyes, looking dead ahead, but looking at things in the periphery. I'd be looking around, and that would give me, you know, definition and space and awareness. But I would be handicapped by the fact I'm not focusing on what's in front of me, and it really, really works. I defy you not to believe that Ambrose is totally blind, because it's so uncanny. I said at the start of this that his performance is unbelievable. That's a lie. It's actually totally believable. He's totally believable as a blind man. It's so credible. And I've got more on that, but we'll come to that. So they go to another church sermon, obviously, and afterwards you've got Ambrose is sitting on a bench outside in a lovely sun, and Father Roger, Tom Noonan's coming out. He's talking to this lovely blonde thing, and gets, you know, we'll sort that out. I haven't heard from him in a while, but and they, your father, where would you? Oh, I've just got to speak to this gentleman here. And Tom Noonan, it's I could spend forever watching these two on a bench just talking. Just Nick Damici, Tom Noonan, just speaking together. And I don't care what baloney they're coming out with. I'd be fascinated just watching the facial tics, the mannerisms, the stoicness of Nick Damici and that voice, and the quirkiness and understatement and muttering and slight semi-grins of Tom Noonan. Tom Noonan, to me, there's a thing that he does. It's almost like he knows he's in a film and he's laughing at what's coming next. But although I've said that, you think that's going to take you out of it, it actually genuinely works. He does so much on screen that even directors say, you know, when I play it back, I didn't know he'd done that. I didn't even see it because he's so natural. But when you look at it and analyse him, it is as though he's like, look, I know what's coming next and I'm already laughing about this because I just can't take any of this seriously. And yet, it seems to work and to ground his characters in a total and utter believability. They're a real person there. So I know there's a contradiction there. He's acting like he knows he's in a movie and yet his performance is so naturalistic. Go figure. It's genius. Don't get that very often. And these two together on the bench, and you get this speech, this chat, because the wheezing that this guy, he's asking Griffin about, like, you know, what you know about him? Oh, he saved everybody, but this guy's amazing. Yeah, you know, he knows everybody, you know, and there's something about this guy. He's got access to everybody's house. He knows, he suspects that Father Roger is the werewolf. Obviously, you do as well. And the coughing, the wheezing, and all this. There's a guy in an iron lung as well, but he's in an iron lung. That's why he's wheezing. So that's a no-go. But this guy, it's got to be him. So, Father, tell me, why'd you become a priest? You know, it's and people stopped asking me that question a long time ago. But why? Well, at that time I was a bit of a rogue. I was greedy. I was nasty. I stole and I hurt a lot of people. And it came to the point where it was, you know, are you going to go to university? Are you going to go to the trade or the army? Yeah, well, the army. My brother went to the army and he came back screaming. He was in Vietnam. Yeah, sometimes he wouldn't stop screaming. He was angry. Yeah, he was angry. And there's this thing with the cigarettes again, like, because Ambrose goes like, you know, I owe you. So he gives him a pack of cigarettes. Oh, I'm trying to give these up, you know. And they're smoking them and sharing and all that. Like, it's great. It's weird. He's sizing up the priest. And he says, like, well, but, you know, I learned, I went to the seminary and I learned, you know, religion. And that tamed the beast, did it, Father? No, you can't kill the beast. All you can do is you can box it, cage it up, but it's always there, waiting for some kind of transformation. And as he says the word transformation, Griffin, Lance Guest, walks into shot. And it's a wonderful little moment there, and it's done on purpose. And but you've got this other element to this conversation, and this is where Ambrose says, like, what about you, Ambrose? You said you joined the army, you went to Vietnam to save lives, but you ended up taking lives. You know, Father, we were there last tour, 1968, New Tuang Valley, and the Gooks, they sent a kid at us with a grenade strapped to him. No more than 6 years old. No one could take that shot. And like Tom Noonan's like just looking at him. I did. I took that shot. Because Tom Noonan, he kind of laughs things off, dead serious moments in many other movies as well. And but it's great. It's a great character trait of his, but it works the characters he plays. He knows a priest. He kind of goes, oh, yeah, and you know, Father. You know, I went blind, but every time I shut my eyes, I see that kid's face. Ah, you know it. So many little character beats that work so well. You forget this is a horror movie. It's a werewolf movie. It's an Ambrose McKinley, Vietnam vet, you know, US Army veteran story. and but transformation, the way it comes up. If you look at this, the camera work is by, did I write the camera operator down? And unbelievably, I did not. What a fool am I. But the camera work is superlative. I said before about the home invasion of the werewolf at the start. There's so many great shots of people in the foreground, and they might be facing you, or the camera might be behind them, and then you'll focus on them, and then you'll see someone or something in the foreground, and the shot, and it's purely wide, it's ultra widescreen, it's gorgeous imagery. And in that shot, the camera's moving up behind these two on the bench, and this is stunning. It moves up behind the two of them, Nick Damici and Tom Noonan, and as Lance Guest, as Griffin, I was going to say Peter Griffin then, walks into shot in the far background, but he's looking towards us. The camera moves up behind Nick Damici, and as Lance Guest turns and stops in the background, the camera stops behind Nick Damici's head, and it looks like time has frozen. It split second stops, and because of that slow moving momentum of the camera, you're kind of like leaning in with it, like subconsciously you're leaning in with it, you're moving, and then it stops, and you kind of go forward, like someone's hit the brakes, and you've got, oh! It's clever. It's fucking clever stuff, that. It's subliminal, but it really works, and it isolates Lance Guest as Griffin there, as the word transformation comes through, and this camera just stops. It's just great. Mr. McKinley, I think we should be going now, because I don't think he's giving me a lift. So you get the second journey in the car with Griffin, and this is great. So, the father, how long you known him? As I said to you, I've known him, for years, since I came here. He's wonderful. He saved everybody. He saved all of us. Do you think it's your violent man? What are you saying? What are you saying about Father Roger? You, and he's getting. This is Griffin, Lance Guest. He's getting aerated, and he's like, what, and Ambrose is just sitting there, totally calm, looking dead ahead, and he's going like, you just come here. You can disrespect, the entire neighborhood. You can disrespect all your neighbors. You can disrespect me, but don't you disrespect that man. That man is a great man. He's really defending him, like, what the fuck is that about? But he gets so worked up, he begins to have an asthma attack. The sound that Ambrose heard outside the house the first night, the werewolf attack, and Ambrose, the camera's on him, and he's just going, yeah. And it cuts to, they pulled up, and he's got his inhaler. He's like, where are we? No, we're outside yours. And he's just staring at Ambrose, because he's fucking fuming with this guy. Like, he's like, well, okay, maybe the father ain't the guy I thought he was, because he's not the werewolf, is he? This guy is the werewolf. That's who we're all pointing at now, And so anyway, we've got that now. The battle lines aren't quite drawn yet. The headstone arrives, and these are great things as well. Let me have a swig of this. Just realised I've got one of them set up already, and I'm drinking from the bottle. A bit of etiquette, and for once I've put it in the glass, and I'm still swinging from the bottle. Life goes on. Knock at the door next day. Ambrose gets his revolver out, and he's there. And at a great moment, he comes to the door, and he goes, who's there? And he listens for the voice through the door. So the head's there, and he moves the gun barrel up to there, right? Opens the door, and it's the headstone. It's this long hippie-haired guy, like, and he goes, headstone. He goes, on the back, is it heavy? Yeah, it's fucking heavy. They go around, and they erect a great big stone crucifix, huge thing, right on the edge of Shadow's grave. And like Ambrose just says to him, what's the rest of your day look like, Chief? He starts getting some money out. I don't know. Can I take an old man to town? You think like, what, you want to go for a bevy? I don't fancy going out with you, mate, no? is going to that gun shop, Westmark's gun shop. Dana Ashbrook from Twin Peaks and other stuff is the guy that runs this gun shop, Westmark's gun shop on the edge of town. So the guy, the headstone guy, pulls up, lets him in there, waits for him outside, like, and he comes in, and like this guy comes out, Dana Ashbrook, and who looks, to me, he reminds me of what's his name, Morgan something, triple name, something W. Morgan, playing Negan in Walking Dead. Forgot his fucking name. Looks like him anyway. And he comes out and he sees, oh look, watch a step here, you know, can I help you? And I like the way he's actually got a gun, you know, in the back of his jeans, like. And then when he realizes, oh, it's okay, come into my office, like, and he puts the gun away, like, because it's out on the outskirts of town, and it's not like the director said we could have filmed in real gun shops at the time, like, but no, I wanted to have a quirky looking thing, which was its own entity, that this is kind of, you know, off the grid sort of thing. He didn't direct this scene. The big elaborate transformation scene, which we haven't got to yet, he was too busy with days of filming that. So we got his brother, who's a great filmmaker in his own right, and the cameraman, who are both busy mates. He said, look, I can't do this. Would you film this sequence? And if you listen to the commentary track on the movie, he actually says, like, this is my favourite sequence in the movie, and it breaks my heart because I didn't film it. My brother did. I did all the rest of it, but he did this, and it's the best scene in the movie. It is a good scene, actually. And he says to him, listen, can you make silver bullets? And he's like, yeah, I can make silver bullets. Right, I need Smith & Wesson 357, a Remington 556. I need blah blah blah. Can you make a shotgun shell? And he goes, well, that's a little bit more difficult, but yeah, I can do it. Yeah. So he's gonna make a load of silver ammunition, like. And he goes, what does silver bullets mean to you? And you know what it means to us, werewolves. And but this guy, Dana Ashbrook, Westmark, the ammunition maker, the gun shop owner, just says like, well, to me, it's the Lone Ranger. Did you ever see that when you were a kid, the Lone Ranger? Yeah, what did it mean to you? Well, it was like a symbol of vigilantism. It was, you know, doing the right thing. You know, didn't he always say that the silver was pure? It was righting the wrongs. Okay, I can do these, yeah. And Ambrose says to him, anybody else ever buy any silver bullets? Yeah. Someone else did, yeah. Can you tell me who it was? Well, I'll have to check in the books, but yeah, it'll be here. And this is brilliant because in that car ride with Griffin's basically said that he's tried to end it all himself. And the priest stopped him. The priest heard that Ambrose said basically, look, I've come here to die. I'm going soon. No, if you're saying what I think you're saying, you know, then don't be doing it. I'm not being a... Remember I said all this? Well, that's just all in Ambrose's mind now. Like, Griffin said he wanted to commit suicide. Now, why would he want to do that? He didn't say it in so many words, but he's basically saying, the priest saved me from like the darkest time. He saved me. Without him, I'd be, you know, don't know where I'd be. And hell, you know. And so he's cottoned on. Who bought them silver bullets? Because he thinks he's the werewolf, and he wanted to end it because he knows he's a werewolf. All right. So, and he goes, okay, I'll get the name for you. But before you get the name, it cuts in a magnificent edit. It cuts to Griffin in his bathroom, shuts the mirror, the lights are on, he's got no top on, and there's all the scars that Shadow, the dog, put into him. And he's putting ointments on them. And, you know, he's been hiding these scars. He is the werewolf, folks. There you go. Big spoilers. He is the werewolf. The film has spent so much time trying to be detective, work it out, and you're following the priest. If you've watched these movies, you watch any kind of detective shows, you know that he's not the first, you know, possible suspect isn't going to be the one. But the film is deceptive though, because Griffin actually is so fucking nice and then so defensive of the priest initially, and then only and Amber's like, oh fuck, it's him. He's driving me fucking home, you know. And we're getting close to the full moon. In fact, it's imminent. But now he's got his ammunition. So, but what happens is, like, as he comes home with his ammunition and he's got the bag with Westmark written on it, there's Griffin just down the road, and Griffin sees him get out the air because this guy with the headstone's driven him back as well, like, and he's paid him off and all this, like, and he's going back to his house. But Griffin sees the bag, Westmark on it, so he knows, you've gone the gun shop, you've gone and got silver bullets, you suspect me, shit on a stick. We've also had a scene of, well, in fact, right after the cuts in the mirror and all this sort of stuff, like, Griffin goes out, puts his shirt on, goes out into his backyard, and he's got like a furnace, and he opens this like tray, this sort of bunker bin thing, and it's all flies coming out. It's all the dogs and cats which have gone missing, because dogs and cats don't like him because he smells like the beast. So he's been dressed as the prowler that attacked Ambrose. Dressed as that, he's been fucking taking these dogs and cats, fucking doing them in, and he's burning the bodies. Not a nice chap, is he? After all, yeah, everyone seems to love him, and so he's now clocked. Look, he's got the Westmark bag. Oh shit, he knows. Right, damn it. There's only one thing I can do now. And then a wonderful piece of music which I wanted to play for you, but I have deep suspicions that it would incur the wrath of YouTube. I'm not going to play it, but it's a wonderful piece of music called Brilliant Light. It's a synthesized piece, but with a choral element to it. Very ecclesiastical, but in the context of this movie, it's actually quite demonic as well. And he goes out and he's posting the flyers to everyone's house and all that as usual. But then he goes and pays a visit to all the Stepford wives, because he knows they don't like Ambrose. And that night, two of them, one with the eye patch and his wife, the one who was actually the original Stepford wife, these two, I'm jumping ahead of myself again. I'll stop doing this. But I can see in the background, I can see they're there, and I've been wanting to talk about these. They hear a noise downstairs, so like she's going like, Richard, oh whatever his fucking name is, Richard, and he's got an eye patch on. She's a fucking dodgy old man. She still looks fucking horny as hell, and looks lovely. In fact, all the older birds do. They all look lovely, and and she was like, "There's someone downstairs." Going on. He's like, "Oh God!" And they go downstairs, put the light on, and it's Griffin sat there, and they're like, "Mr. Griffin, is something wrong?" Richard and Judy. People in the UK will get that one. I don't know what her name is in this, can't remember. Might not be Judy. Sit down and pray with me. And like the eye patch is going like, what time is this? What, where are we? What the hell? No, and she's like, well, no, let's sit down with Mr. Griffin. And she offers up a prayer. Now apparently this was ad-lib, this prayer. And it's a hymn, a prayer that Saint Francis of Assisi said, protected of animals and all that kind of stuff, like. And it's a prayer that he said to a wolf which was attacking a village. Don't hurt these people, and I'll get the people to feed you. That's what it's all about. So that's the prayer that she gives. It's just a little, she thought, can I use this? And he went, oh yeah, please, because Bogliano, the director, he's got such a love and fascination for 80s horror movies, for 70s horror movies, for great directors like Brian De Palma, Walter Hill, Jeff Lieberman, Joe Dante. He knows all these people inside out, and he wanted to pay loads of homage. So when he got the woman from Stepford Wives, he do whatever you want. Just do whatever you want. That sounds brilliant. Just do it. So she says this prayer, and like eye patches going like that. And I was like, what the fucking hell's going on here? And like Mr. Magoo, and then so and Griffin's kind of like, this is all peaceful. He's there for a reason, and he goes, puts the bite on her. He's not a werewolf, but he's put the bite on her. Cuts away. He goes and visits the other Stepford wives as well, and he puts the bite on those. Why is he doing this? The thing is, those crap-tastic fucking coppers do arrive, because these people, I watched it with my daughter yesterday, and she said, well, hang on, this doesn't make it. Why don't you call the police? And the point they're making is they do call the police turn up, but the police are so fucking stupid. And these guys are saying, look, it was Mr. Griffin. So they go over to Griffin's house in a bang. Mr. Griffin, you in there, Mr. Griffin, Mr. Griffin, bring that box, you know. And he's not there. And like, it's just, well, I can't find Mr. Griffin. But they don't give a shit either. These people have all been bitten on the arm, not dead. What's going to happen when the full moon comes out though? Griffin's got himself a little platoon of werewolves. Yes, he's got his own little army. His fairy army are going to be there to descend on Ambrose. Because Ambrose, he knows, that rhymes, he knows Ambrose knows who he is, what he is, and is prepared. So now the battle lines are drawn. So anyway, it's got these, they will transform. But in the meantime, the priest comes back again to see Ambrose, and this is another lovely moment. He comes around, and of course that grave is still there. Ambrose finally gets Shadow's body in there, and he's just like, "No, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And you know, the dog owner and my previous dog to me died in my arms, just over there. Always do this, don't I? Still can't get over it. And I buried her at the back and put her into a big grave. So he puts the dog, and luckily the film does as well on this. Puts the dog in the grave and he sprinkles some soil. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And but the priest comes around like, and he's like, that's a big headstone, Ambrose. What big dog? and they talk. It's like, you know, Ambrose, you know, you say that, you know, you've got no more time for the world and you don't like what you see, and you know, you don't want to be involved anymore. But you know, you've got so much wisdom, you've got so many stories to tell. He's giving him the reason to live, and of course now the priest is great. The priest is actually a good guy, you know, and Ambrose, you don't see Ambrose smile in this movie until this moment, and it's the most fleeting of smiles. And yet lovely, because Tom Noonan goes to him, you know, like, listen to me, you know, you've got so much to live for, just live. And he goes, Ambrose, I'm pointing at you, but because he can't see it, so I'm pointing at you, and he taps him on the head like that, and Ambrose just goes, it's just, just get you know, little moments like that, so special. Fleeting in most movies, and yet in a film like this, they reverberate, they stay with you. So anyway, he said, like, I've got to go now. This is the priest. I've got to go because I've got to check on another neighbour, another friend. And off he goes. And like, for some reason, like, Ambrose realises that he goes back and check on another friend, another neighbour. He's gonna go round to this guy to Griffin's house. So Ambrose runs out the street, but he's already driven off, and Ambrose is like, oh, he's fucking shovel and all that, like hobbling down. Doesn't know where the fucking hell he is. Like, can't see a thing, remember? And but in the meantime, the priest gets to Griffin's house, and Griffin's out the back with his shirt off and rosary beads on, and he's fucking slashing his flesh apart with a knife, like, and he's like, Griffin, you know, I told you, I thought we worked this out. Don't do this yourself. But it's body mortification, you know, it's driving out the evil spirit within me. No, Mr. Whatever his first name is, you know, Richard, Peter Griffin, you know, come inside, let's talk this through. No, but, you know, Father, it's not working. You gave me the rosary beads. You said all the prayers. You said you'd drive the beast out of me. But, you know, it's up here. You know, there's no evil spirit in you. There's no demons. And he says, it's done in a very abstract sort of way, but I like the way it's done, because these guys know the story. They're not giving you all this exposition. It's like, but, you know, when I came here, and I chased it into the woods. I went into the woods, and I got it, but it got me first, you know. And I've told you what it does. You know, the dogs and the cats, you know, they hate me, but it's not enough for me anymore. But, you know, you've got to drive this beast out. I can help you with this. But none of this works anymore. None of this works. Moon's risen. And like suddenly, Yes, you get the big transformation. Sounds like a song that actually. You get the big transformation. You turn all hairy. Your teeth go big, and suddenly you got a Nah, I can't fucking work it out. I never could sing, and I couldn't write songs either. But the transformation begins. This transformation is not going to break any sort of milestones in the genre. It's not Rick Baker with American Muff. It's not Rob Bottin with The Howling. But it is different in its own right. And what Bogliano does, he got a crew with motion capture cameras. He said, like, I spoke to Joe Dante about The Howling, and he said, like, the thing is, like, when people stand and watch someone transforming for 7 minutes as in The Howling, and she doesn't run. She does not run. She watches the whole time. But I've always said, people do witness the most horrific of things, and they stand there transfixed by horror. It seems ridiculous, but people do ridiculous things in times of extremis and extreme shock and fear. And that's what happens here. The priest has just stood there watching. He's like, he can't believe what's happening there. And it's Tom Noonan's face as well. It's comical, but it's also genius. And anyway, the effects come out, and the motion capture camera goes around Griffin as he's transforming around and showing the priest, and then moving back on. It's not, although it looks like it's not one continuous shot. It took a couple of days to film this, and it's done in like a couple of, I think it's about 6. I think he says it's like 6 different shots. But the editing, we had to use a bit of, because it's all practical effects apart from here. There's a bit of CG to mesh the edits together. That's all it is. The rest of it, it's Robert Kurtzman from KNB. KNB, Evil Dead 2, Hellraiser, Christ, so many movies in the 80s. KNB is, the K is Robert Kurtzman, who does this movie. KN, that's Greg Nicotero, who worked with George Romero as well, and of course now directs The Walking Dead. And who's the other one? KNB, Howard Berger, who was also part of all this. They've all branched out into their own individual studios, but Robert Kurtzman does the effects for this, and they're great. You get the hand, whoosh, and the nails are coming out. They're fucking big and huge. He hits all floors. He hits the floor on all fours, and his back arches up. He's ripped his chest open, and the skins come off, and the hairy beast is within. His chest is swelled out and all that, but he hits the floor like this, and then you see his face with the fangs. His eyes have gone a different colour. Scleral lenses are in there, and then he will stand up and rip his face apart. It's very Company of Wolves style, and the real beast is in there. At that point, that's when the priest bugs out, legs it in his big gangly fashion, like a big praying mantis, legs it to his car, gets in the car, and as he puts the headlights on, like, the beast is there in front of him. Huge, shaggy, massive, fucking ultra massive long ears on it, and it does a slow-mo run, and it plunges onto the bonnet of the car and puts its fists through the windscreen. Blood showers everywhere. The priest has been killed. He says to the priest, I love you, I respect you, and it's the reason why I love you that I'm going to kill you. He's not going to put the curse onto him. He's not going to turn him into a werewolf as well by putting the bite on. He's going to kill him. That's what he's going to do. Now, you're going to hear all screaming and stuff like that. And, Ambrose, our guy's ambling. He hears all this. And he gets into the house of the guy with the iron lung. But, of course, in the meantime, she's transformed, hasn't she? And he's there. He's got the iron lung. And he's finding all this. And we can see it. The guy's head should be sticking out. But all it is a severed neck and blood spraying everywhere. And Ambrose was like, it's like, what the fuck? And then this beast comes up behind him, but he's got his shovel. Fuck off! Takes the beast down, but it's raked his side open. He's ripped all across the side here. It's like, oh god! And he gets back home, but it's a great camera shot, another mocap shot. Camera spins around him in the street as he hears screaming and howling from all over the place, and the camera just keeps on spinning around Ambrose. He gets back to his place, bandages himself up, like, just putting this all around him, and then he gets his uniform on. See, it's this fatalistic honour which I respond to hugely, and he puts his uniform on and he buttons it all up. We've had And this is where it comes in. Another element of this. There's been a fallout with him and Will, his son. Remember his son? Ethan Embry. Is it Ethan Embry? Yeah, Ethan Embry. You know, Pops, he's gone to the house, but this is before this night, and Ambrose is hiding in a closet, you know, with his gun and all that, like, and Will's gone upstairs, and suddenly, you know, he comes out like that, and I'm like, Pops, what the fuck are you doing? Put the gun down, Pops. It's me, it's Will. What are you doing here, Will? Oh, I just want to see how you are. What's going on? Don't believe it. My werewolf beast wants to go out now. Just 1 second. Go on, hon. Come on. Here you go. My werehusky has gone out now to do her business. Cheers, y'all. Pops, I came here to show you something that I found when I was cleaning out the house, because obviously they've moved him out the house to put him in this retirement home. And it's the ring. It's his wedding ring. You've seen this earlier on in a conversation he has after Shadow's been killed. Ambrose is just in his rocking chair, just rocking. And his daughter-in-law said to Will, what's her name? Oh God, Erin Cummins said to Will, is your father all right? Is he okay? Well, it's difficult to say, because Dad's okay is the same as his not okay. You can't tell the difference. And he's been in this rocking chair, but Will's took out this ring, and he's been meaning to mention it, but his dad's just not responding at all, so he just puts it back in his pocket. And he's come back. This is before all this. And they have a real bad sort of ding dong, and he says, like, look, listen, Pops, I was cleaning out the house and I found this. So he grabs his hand and he puts it in his hand. You know, you told me you lost this. You told me you put it in Mum's casket. And it's his wedding ring, like, he has not been wearing it because they split up. You see, he left. You know, like, why didn't you tell me about this? Because it's got nothing to do with you, Will. You know, it's my ring. You know, it's like, it has. It's got everything to do with me. Listen, he says about his wife, whose name I've forgotten. She's pregnant. And we're going to move away. We're moving somewhere else now. And I'm happy for you, Will. But Ambrose's face just never, apart from that one little glimmer of a smile, never breaks. It's just granite. It's Paul Newman, completely Paul Newman, but a bit more grizzled. And he just goes, I'm happy for you, Will. You know, like, listen, Pops, whenever you need something from me, don't call. Oh, you're like, oh no, don't do this. Don't leave him. But he does, and off he goes. So this night, final night, he's buttoning up his uniform. He opens a little ring box. It's not a ring that's in there. It's actually a hearing aid, but you put it. No, people, hearing aids. I know people with hearing aids that can hear people fucking miles away. They can hear radio chatter on airplanes going overhead. You know, you gotta get the frequency right. But he knows that he can use that to hear all his environment. People who are blind, obviously, they compensate. They can hear things. You know, it's not that it's more acute, but they focus more upon it, and they're able to learn more from what they hear than what people with vision do, because we just take the whole thing in, the whole picture. But you lose these, you depend on these, you know, and your sense of smell. So, and with a hearing aid, he knows he's now empowered to hear a lot of things approaching his house. And he's got all his guns, he's got a shotgun, he's got his revolver, he's got his rifle as well, and he's got silver aplenty. And he's set up a trap. Shadow's grave is actually a trap. He kept the dog out there because it's be rotting meat. It's going to attract the wolf, the beast. So, anyway, but it's in the grave now, and now he's got the headstone as well. So, anyway, he's all patched up and all that, and he's got his uniform on, and he's got his hearing aid in, and he opens the windows, and his shirt, which was bloody from the attack when he took down the wolf by the iron lung, and he throws that outside. Fucking wolves are there straight away. These great Bigfoot, and you see him bounding down the street. that dickhead on sentry duty, the guy on the front gate, reading his porno mags and reading porno mags. You know what I mean? And he sees on the security TV screen, he sees. Now this is the problem I have with this movie, is that the effects are great, the film itself is great, but the finished article, the animatronics, it's all practical effects, look great and they move great. The eyes, the jaws, the hair, the bodysuits are great. But they do look like somebody in a suit. They do. They've got the blades on. For disabled people, the running blades. They've got those to give them the heightened size, and also to give them that dog leg. But they, as great as these effects are, they do look like somebody in a suit. They do. And this is given away by the guy in this little door house by the front gate. He just sees a black and white street. He just sees a werewolf walking down the street, big ears on it, and going, oh, like that. And he just goes, Jesus Christ. And I wanted to see him die, and you don't. And he bugs out, just runs out, fucking runs off. You don't see him again, that's it. Fucking gone. I wanted him killed, I wanted the 2 cops killed. You don't see the cops again either. That's it. But if that was me, I'd have gone like, that's someone in a suit. Look at that. Oh, it's a Halloween. There's someone in a fucking werewolf suit there. Oh, that looks great. That's great. But clearly a suit. But the thing is, that's what they are. It's because they're tall and they're muscle bound, but they're very shaggy haired. But the faces aren't that hairy. The faces are actually kind of reptilian, and the hair is sort of straggly coming down and all that, but a bit like this, I suppose. More swept back. So they're not that sort of hairy muzzled, and the snouts don't really come out too far, and they've got huge long ears on them. But anyway, they are what they are. That's my dog lapping water there. You can see a tail flicking past. And you probably see a whiskey bottle come flashing past here. He's drinking more. So if you're drinking, I'm drinking. So, he's bugged out. Ambrose is now ready in the bedroom window. He can pace up and down. He knows the entire diameter and geometry of his house. Importantly as well, his medication. He's took all his medication. You see him take all the tablets, all of them. He doesn't intend to survive the night. He doesn't. That will kill him as well. He knows he can't survive. So this is the end. This is his last stand. This is hugely important. This is a huge important element. He's gone there knowing he's never going to leave this place. He's going to die there. And with his dog gone, a monster out there, he's got one last mission. But he knows, I ain't going to survive this, but nor's that bastard. Only now there's more bastards out there. So because you can't see him, but he's got his hearing aid in. And they all arrive at Shadow's grave. That's his dog. Fuck that. Balls action. You can hear him. Boom! Fucking takes one down. Straight away. Fucking that's gone down. Wow, brilliant. They're fucking starting up. Another shot, misses one. One of these wolves fucking does a big leap up the side of the fucking, the house to his bedroom window. He's now got his revolver out. First shot in the window, misses. Second one, fucking takes his brains out. Oh, damn, it's gone. So he's killed 2. Sorry, no offense. He's killed 2 of these bastards already. You see a shot of remember the woman from the Stepford Wives, the original Stepford wife. She's got long red hair. Tina Louise. She looks like this thing here with its red hair, like that. Her husband has the eye patch, and he's very grey. He has a bog eye. When his eye, the werewolf does not have an eye patch on. It's got like this glassy, milky eye. Now this werewolf here, this werewolf mask here, folks, has a. Although I was going to white it out and I forgot, believe it or not, because that eye, you can probably see it's disfigured. That eye's popping far more. So I thought, those two, it's husband and wife, it's those two. You see him cradling the dead wife, and that's a nice touch, he's cradling that. And then like Ambrose has come downstairs and he's got what's he got now? He's got his revolver again, and this fucking wolf, this old guy, that the only one eye, puts the body of his wife down, and fucking runs at the kitchen fucking wall and comes straight through the window right behind Ambrose. Fucking battle ensues in the kitchen. Ambrose, man, gets knocked with his gun and blows his own foot apart, and his fucking toes come out of his boot. Oh God, you're like, oh gee, you're blind, you're being ripped through the side. Lost your dog, you lost oh fucking hell, everything's gone rat shit, hasn't it? He's fucking blown his toes apart. But he manages to get a couple of shots, bang, then boof, and it takes this fucking wolf down. And the wolf goes flying back through a door. This film has loads of scenes of a wolf smashing through a door, a window, a wall, and it looks great because the way they've done it, the effects are superb for this. They're obviously pulled on wires as well if they're going backwards, but then they're coming through a door. The doors burst inwards. There's all sorts of cables which have been removed, obviously, bursting in, and this thing just come through, and it's power. It's surging ferocity. Looks great. And so he's took down, 3 of these. Another wolf comes in, fucking towering above, battling him and all that. He's hitting him with a fucking frying pan and all sorts. Gets his shotgun. Boom! Silver in that shotgun cartridge, and its fucking head just goes woof like that. It just goes whoosh, and blood just showers the fucking wall behind it. It's been dropped, but you've still got Griffin. You've still got the main wolf there, who has now hopped into the grave to get Shadow's body. Now, there's another element here. Just before the battle ensues, the final last stand, and he's up in the bedroom, he makes a call to Will. This is Ambrose. Makes a call to his son. And he said, Will, it's your old man. I didn't want to end things that way. Let me just talk to you. But he's leaving a message. He doesn't get through to him. He's leaving a message. You don't hear that message. Now, as this battle's ensuing here, this final stand, Will is driven up to the end of main gates because he's obviously heard the message. And of course, the guy can't let him in. The gates have gone open. And he's, where's this fucking guy now? And he's like, so he's calling his dad on his cell phone, like, and but Ambrose, and again, one of these great shots. Ambrose is close up on his face there, and it's looking. His face is right up close, but it's looking through the window. Down there, you've got the bit. There's Griffin, the bastard main werewolf, is there in the grave or about to get in the grave, and suddenly the phone goes off, and the werewolf hears it, and it's like its ears are all animatronics moving around. It's like looking around, and because Ambrose, oh fucking hell, it's blown my fucking hell. He legs it down there, and the werewolf's there, and that big headstone was part of the booby trap, folks. He's wired it all up, and he gets to the back porch. He knows where he's going. He's mapped out every inch of his land, every room, all the floors, every surface, the porch, columns, pillars, whatever you call them. Gets to one of them, pulls a cord, and a rope comes up, brings down this huge fucking masonry headstone. Boof! On the back of this werewolf's head. He's got in the grip. Bah! Fucking hell, it's down there. And he's come out, he's got his revolver out, he's like that, fucking like that. But the wolf just comes flying out and fucking bounds towards him sorry, I forgot, he's actually got his fucking shovel there as well. And he's swinging the shovel around. You remember the training he was doing? And then his movements, knock it, slice, cut, decapitate. He's got that off to a T. But he's missed, hits it, and then it's gone down. Woof, but it's rolled out the way. Oh fuck! And it gets up at a big fairy putt and snaps his shovel in two and fucking clubs him. Boof, boof, knocks him on the deck, and it goes in, and it savages his shoulder. And it's like the two broken ends of his shovel, the shaft of the shovel. He just goes boof right into his fucking eyes. Whoosh. He's blinded it. He's blinded it. And he just gets up. Oh, these two fucking things there now. Poof, poof, poof. Crashes down. Will hears all this. He's running up the street, and he sees the naked body of someone. I think it's this one, the one from Stepford Wives, Tina Louise, lying there naked, dead. He's like, what the fuck? And he hears, turns around, and there's there's a werewolf there on the deck dying. Fucking hell. Pops! Goes onto the air, runs around the back. But in the meantime, Ambrose has won. He's won, he's killed them all. He's in his dress uniform. He gets up, his rocking chair's there. He gets up, oh, I'm done. I'm done. He gets in the rocking chair. And like you've seen him before, the eyes are just these steel bullets of just these flinty little eyes just staring, and he's rocking in the chair. I'm done. Oh, it's just awesome. Will comes round, and interestingly, Will's been in a suit the entire time, or looking very officious and a man, an adult, and because he's standing his own ground, live your life sort of thing. He comes round, and because he's come straight from home, he's wearing a t-shirt and like just jogging pants. He looks like a little kid. Now this is a man in his late 30s, comes running around, but the way they've done it, there's his old man, and there's Will, his son, dressed like a child, coming. It's like, Pops, oh, no, it just, oh God, and he hasn't blinked at all throughout this, and he does that thing, and he closes his eyes, and you see his hand, and his hand's got the wedding ring on. Got the wedding ring on, so he just puts his hand on his dad's hand, and then you cut to obviously later on, and he's cleaning out the house. He's got the dad's gun and all that, and all his military kit bags and all that, and all his belongings. But he plays back. You hear the message that Ambrose left for Will, and Will, I didn't want to leave things this way. I'm sorry I wasn't the best father to you, the best husband to your mother. But I want you to know that when you were born, those first few years were the happiest years of our lives. We were all happy. You probably don't remember all that. And then when I was told I was going to go blind, I refused any help. I was stubborn, I was stupid, I was wrong. I know that now. And what it was, why I left, I'd turnn the whole world had gone black. But it wasn't the blindness, it was the blackness inside me. And I didn't want that blackness affecting you and your mother, so I left. But I was wrong, Will, I was wrong. And I'm sorry. You got a good woman there, you got a baby on the way, you got a life to lead. You lead that life, you'll be happy. Don't you worry about a thing, don't you worry about your old man. Jesus. And I love you, Will. I always did. Jesus. So then you get the finale. You get a lonely funeral for Ambrose in a gorgeous cemetery. It's just Will and his wife and the priest says his bits and shakes the hand and all that, and off he goes. They've got stars and bars flag there, but Will's got the rifle as well, his pop's rifle. Bolt action. There's a moon. It's sort of late in the afternoon, the moon is rising, and he aims the moon. Fires a shot over the grave, but he's aiming at the moon. The film ends. You've got to answer, hang on, you've just seen werewolves. There are werewolves there. The guy on the gate, the doorkeep, he's sort of werewolf. It's recorded on the TV, so there's werewolves there. Will found werewolf bodies there. There's bodies everywhere, You don't get any of that sort of stuff. What you need to know as well is that Ambrose knew he'd probably get bitten, so he takes his medication and all of it. So it's going to be an overdose, and he'll have no medication left anyway. So if he gets bitten and survives, he doesn't want to become one of them. So he's basically killed himself as it is. But Folks, this film is incredible. The music, which is by Wojciech Gozowski, you can't get it, and it's wonderful as well. It's such a shame, but the music is very similar to what I'm playing here from Jeff Grace for Cold in July. Nick Damici, a bit like oh god, what's his name? Oh no, from the Grey. Oh, and from Captain America. Oh, I've forgotten his name now. There's a G in it somewhere. I'm gonna find this. Do excuse me for one moment. But he's such a powerhouse of an actor. Can't believe I've forgotten this other guy's name. And he's nothing to do with it. Not. Oh fuck it! I can't be arsed. It'll come to me in a minute. I go, oh, it's so and so. But Nick Damici is such a powerhouse of an actor that he's magnetic. You cannot take your eyes off him, and there's a subtle irony there. You know, you can't take your eyes off him. His portrayal of a blind man, a strong blind man. You don't think for one second that this guy can see. You totally believe that he's blind, but you also believe that in everything that he can do. He does stumble around. He can't find things, but he's not sorry for himself. That's the thing. And you know, I'm not a cripple. You know, I'm not a victim. At one point, they say to him, "Look, Pops, you can get microwaves now, which will tell you what numbers you're putting in. They'll speak to you." Jesus fucking Christ! How fucking lonely do you think I am? You know, I want a fucking microwave to fucking talk to me. You know, he's bitter. He's irascible. So me and my daughter watched it, and she said, "Why is everyone horrible to him?" I said, "Well, hon, they're horrible because Frank Grillo." I knew it'd come to me. I haven't found it. Frank Grillo from The Grey and from so many other movies. Oh my God, so many. Warrior. He's a brilliant actor. Well, the same time that I kind of realised that Frank Grillo was such a wonderful, you know, ass in the grass, grinding sort of actor, playing the most horrible of people and yet also the most heartwarming of people, and sometimes both the same person. They can transform throughout the course of a story, but really they're so magnetic. Well, Nick Damici and Frank Grillo just seem to be from the same piece, from the same pod. I love them both. They're two of the greatest actors that we've got in the world today, and they're massively unsung, and it should not be the case. Nick Damici writes as well, produces. I don't think he's the director, but he acts, produces, and he writes. I think he wrote, oh God, what else did he write? I think he co-wrote Cold in July, actually, the film that sounds like I'm playing right now. But he's a wonderful, wonderful all-round actor. But I believe everything he does. I believe everything he says. And my daughter said, like, you know, why do people don't like him? I said, because he rubs them up the wrong way. I can see it. She said, no, he's done nothing wrong to anyone. I know what she means. And then I said to her, like, well, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go out and everyone knows me around here. And I'm the most happy-go-lucky, you know, zany, most sociable of people. I'm going to act like Ambrose McKinley. I'm going to be taciturn and just say what I feel. I'll just speak staccato and fucking, you know, just irascible. You know, don't you speak to me. I'll speak to you if I want to talk to you, I'll talk to you. You know, if I don't want to hear you, I'm going to walk away. But I'm going to tell you first why I don't want to fucking hear or where you fucking say. You know, and I'm going to be like that. And I'm going to report back and say, I acted like him, and this is what happened. I come back. I don't come back at all. I've been beaten to a pulp on the street corner. Bloody Kilt-Man fucking snarled at me. He said to me, have you seen Late Phases? And I said, no. And he's got this fucking stupid Brooklyn accent on him. The fuck do you think he is? He's got a fucking kilt on. Doesn't even sound Scottish. He's going, have you seen fucking Late Phases? And I said, no, I haven't. Well, you fucking should. Fucking mutt. I fucking put him down, didn't I? Fucking Kilt-Man. But that's the point. You know, we love him because he's our hero, and he's not a victim, as he keeps on saying. I can look after myself. He walks around with cash on him, a lot of cash. He's buying the headstone. And there's the joke that Larry Fessenden, playing the guy that runs the fucking mortuary, the headstone department store, whatever you fucking call him. And he's like, it's 200. And he goes, or 2,000, whatever it's like. And he gives him the money. He goes like, are you joking? These are 10s. And he goes, what? Are you fucking joking me? Yeah, I'm just kidding with you, Pops. Don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, don't you fuck around with a blind person. Now, this is the other thing as well. The blind. I wasn't going to say this, but I am going to say it now. This film floats my boat for so many different reasons. Werewolves, military, great suspense, great slow burn character drama, fantastic music. But the blind. Now, me and Mrs. Kilt-Man have actively supported blind charities all our lives. Done a lot of charitable work for the blind. I have a lot of anyone with disabilities. I hugely, feel very sympathetic towards, and want to help. But the blind especially. There's a real good reason for this, and what it is. When we were only just first sort of living together, me and Mrs. Kilt-Man, she had a job working as a counsellor, a face-to-face counsellor for people with problems and issues. She's working full-time and she was doing this as a volunteer. But there was a guy there called John who was blind, and he was older than us. And I've got a feeling he's not around anymore. Sadly, we don't see him anymore. No pun intended there, folks. Haven't seen him for years. But I don't think he was a much older person. And he had a full-time job, and he would spend all of his free time working for this charitable organisation, helping other people with problems. We went to a works function, and Janet, Mrs. Kilt-Man, had mentioned John a few times. I was like, oh, he sounds great. Yeah. When I got to meet him, and he was the life and soul. He was brilliant, very funny, very chirpy, and smile permanently on his face, permanently. Loved to speak to people, very gregarious, outgoing, and I was fascinated by him, and just the way he operated and the way he was so outgoing. And we were talking, and I was intrigued, and I said, was it an accident, or were you blind from it? He said, no, I had a condition which I had about 2 years of vision, and then as an infant I lost my sight. I went, oh God, And he went, but this is what. He said, I've got memories of sight. He said, I remember colours. And my mother's face. Well, I broke completely. And he said, it's all right. He put his hand on my shoulder and said, it's all right, it's all right. It's all right. I can live with this. I'm fine. It's all right. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry about it. I have never got over that. Never. So it's a huge part of me. I'll always defend the underdog. I'll always defend someone that can't see or hear or defend themselves. And like John always stays in my mind. We did see him a lot throughout the 1990s, but then things changed. I joined the Marines, and everything changed, and we were just not in that environment anymore. And I wouldn't have thought he'd be very old now if he was alive. But what he said was inspiring, but also breaking. So when I watch this film, I think of John, and the strength that he had and the power that he had is reflected in Ambrose McKinley, which this film has the power to be incredibly moving. He loses his dog as well, but that doesn't. He's stoic. He's powerful, and that's what I love about this. It has the power to break you in two because you're going to be sympathetic, and yet you don't need to be because he's not a victim. He knows what he's going into. He understands the threat. He understands the nature of the beast, and he's prepared to fight. And in a way, it's what he wants. It's his last stand. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out fighting. I'm going out like a soldier. You know, 'cause that's all I've ever been in all my life. Just been a soldier. And it's just wonderful to behold. Folks, I love this movie. I massively recommend it. You don't have to get all emotional about watching it, because that's just me. But the effects are great. The wolf look might not be as great as I'd want it to be, but it works. It's an unusual look for these beasts, but they're powerful, and they're leaping through walls and windows. And these are all old fogies who are doing this. But once they've got the power of the wolf, you know, that's it. They're through. They're like the fucking Hulk. They're big and they're ferocious. And there's a fair bit of blood and snot in it. But it's a film of sections, introduction, and slam bang, you know, werewolf action for night number one. Boom! Then you've got a month to wait. But that's why it's great. You've got that month of build-up. You've got that month of him playing detective, trying to work it all out. And, you know, and he's great. He's just, Nick Damici is such, he won't stop. You know, he's like a dog with a bone. And he literally will not stop. And he's determined. And even though he's a man of very few words, he says a lot in the film. But it's all in these little staccato, little sound bites. But he says a hell of a lot, and you understand a lot, and yet there's so little exposition is given away, and that's another great thing as well. That's good writing. You've actually got to work out what the hell. And of course, the whole thing with the ring, you know, the original version of the movie. It seems that because he had lost the ring. He'd said to Will, this is the original version. He said to Will, "Look, I threw it in your mum's casket," but of course Will finds it, you know, and assumed, yeah, you know, you said you threw it in mum's casket. I always thought you just sold it, because that was the original idea for it. I thought you'd sold it, but then I found it. But you know, it was in the house all along. Why don't you wear it? They don't say any of this directly to you. So you're like, well, the thing with the ring, what? But they don't need to. It's caused one of these big rifts in their relationship. A rift that will only be healed after Ambrose has died, with a post-mortem message on the phone. And, you know, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'd love to know, I mean, the copper should have been killed. That gatekeeper should have been killed, without a doubt. I'd have had him. And the whole thing, there's werewolves exist. We now know they exist. But, folks, late phases. I always wanted the generic title there, Night of the Wolf. Always seemed, oh, that's just shit. That's just Night of the Wolf. You know, that's just rubbish. That's from a 1970s style movie, Night of the Wolf. You know, but there's another subtitle, Night of the Lone Wolf. And if you think of that, the lone wolf is not the werewolf, because he's got a little army around him. He's got a pack together. The lone wolf is Ambrose. Ambrose McKinley is the lone wolf. Now that title actually works. A lot of posters for it have Ambrose silhouetted with, he's got Shadow, the dog, next to him. In many ways, I'm actually pleased that Shadow bows out earlier on. It gives him more of a modus operandi, more of a motivation, and the way he builds his booby trap. But also, if Shadow had remained with him, you'd only be knowing it's gonna die at the end. It's gonna die at the end, and he'd be dreading all this. So to get that out the way, I'm not saying it's the right way, but it works in this movie. The wolf. He's savaged the wolf, and you see the damage that's on. You know, Lance Guest is body, like, oh my God, Mr. Griffin's body. Shadow did some fucking damage there. But the dog is taken care, it's out. If it lasted, you'd be suspecting, oh, it's going to go, because it would be forever sniffing around and going after him, because all the other dogs and cats in this retirement village are doing so, and he's taking all them out. And so, as this sort of masked prowler thing, which is a nice element. Again, that's not really explained. I've seen on forums going like, well, we don't even know that's him in the air. They think, well, of course it is. He's dressed like that, taking out all the dogs and cats, which are like snarling at him and giving the game away, making people suspicious of him. He's doing that dressed up in, a disguise. Of course, folks, it's been emotional on this. And I kind of knew it would be. I think that's why I held off reviewing this film for quite so long, because I knew it was going to take its toll upon me. And I thought, that Griffin there, got a big scratch down here, big wound. Oh, it's healed. Oh my God, is it a full moon tonight? Whiskey does it. Heals everything. Folks, go and watch Late Phases. Please let me know what you think about it. It might not be to everyone's taste. It's a strange, auteur, indie, character-driven drama. Much more so than it is a horror film. And yet it has, as described, the beginning and the end is werewolf onslaught aplenty, and blood and snot, firepower, walls and windows going through, and great big shaggy beasts causing all sorts of bedlam. But in between, arguably, it's all the in-between, which is the majority of the movie, where he's doing his detective work and you're getting to know Ambrose. I love him. I'm going to finish this now, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to be Ambrose. I'm not going to blink, and I'm just going to be, just give me a whiskey. Make it 2 whiskeys. What? No. Don't talk to me. No. If I want to talk to you, I'll talk to you. Don't just come over here and think that you're my friend. You ain't my friend. You ain't no friend of mine. Oh, I blinked. I fucked it up. I blinked. But I want to do it. I want to report back to me. I don't want to say like, no. People don't like that. It's not that, they're all nasty to him. He's a fucking twat to them as well. But he's an understandable twat. And he loves Dolores at the start as well. Dolores, it's a lovely name. And you smell beautiful. I can't see you, but you smell beautiful. It's wonderful. And she's so made up with him. By the way, the girl that plays Dolores was the lead girl in Saturday Night Fever. What? They say like Bogliano, the director, wanted in the casting and put these familiar faces in from yesteryear, and he pays homage to Brian De Palma, to Joe Dante, to Jeff Lieberman, Squirm, Just Before Dawn, and his favourite film Blue Sunshine, and westerns. The original score, this isn't the score to the movie. As I said, you can't get the score, which is a real crying shame. This composer's other work is out there, but the score was actually done by 2 guys who worked with Bogliano before on his previous movies, and they'd done it in a Western style, because he said this is a Western. He said, but the American producers just didn't see it that way. It is a Western. It's a frontier town, and you've got the good guy there, the anti-hero there, and you've got the villain of the piece, and these two are going to end up having a big feud and a big standoff and a last stand gun battle at the end. It's that format. It is that. So the Western style music that these 2 other guys came up with actually worked the treat. And he says, I wish to God, I could do a version where you could hear that music. But that said, Wojciech Goluski's score is phenomenal, and I totally adore it. Folks, there you are. We're hitting 2 hours now, so I think we've had enough of this fucking waffle. And all this talk about the blind. I'll be blind drunk at the end of this. You see what I did there? But anyway, Late Phases, please do indulge, watch, and report back to me. Let me know what you think, because I think it's an outstanding indie movie. 2014. There's been other werewolf movies since, but none have come close to this. It isn't a masterpiece of werewolf cinema, but it's a truly great film in its own right, but with werewolves in it, and that only makes it better, you know? There you go. Folks, I have been always Shabby Kilt-Man, so in the meantime, in this ever fairy, ferocious, and blind, drunk, in-between time, please keep it Kiltic, keep it Celtic, and watch how you go. And I'm going to see you all later. All this talk of full moons. We had a big solar flare the other day. Not only did we get a heat wave, a pandemic, we're now getting once in a lifetime solar flares, knocking out all the satellites. Did you hear about it? Some of you did, but the mainstream didn't bother reporting on it. But it happened.